All right, the aforementioned Kellyanne Conway is in Washington, D.C. She has a brand new book. You know about it. You've heard about it. Here's the deal, a memoir, doing very, very well across the country. And she, of course, is a former senior, very important word, senior counselor to President Trump. Hey, nice to see you. I'm glad you're taking the time to talk with us.
It's great to see you in the no spin zone.
You know, nobody says that to me. It's great to see you. You're one of the few people on the planet who's ever said that to me. All right. Trump wants to run for president again. You know it, I know it.
Yes.
Big picture. Is that a wise thing for him and the country?
Well, the country is suffering under his successor, Joe Biden. I mean, everywhere you look, they don't do anything well. Every poll, including if not especially, Bill, the media polls prove that. People are telling them inflation, gas prices, infant formula, immigration, border security, Ukraine, all of these issues, crime and drugs have gone to the top, and Biden is ignoring the will of the people. So I think Trump is like the rest of us. He sees all the problems that are happening in this country, and he would like to get in there and solve and fix them. Also, for President Trump, there's an awful lot of finished business that he intended to tackle in his second term. And so he would like that second term. Now, whoever runs, and Trump will have to decide first, but whoever runs needs to run on the America First agenda. That's a given. This is the issue set. These are the policy prescriptions. These are the promises delivered upon that help this country reach energy independence and unemployment rates and a booming economy, particularly pre-COVID. And frankly, we were doing better around the globe under President Trump with trade deals. Iran and China were more at bay. They weren't salivating. Iran wasn't salivating at Israel as a nuclear capable nation. Obviously, China and Kim Jong-un, Vladimir Putin was not in Ukraine, and the list goes on and on. So he would like to do it.
Yeah,
he's going to have to navigate how much hate there is out there and how much people are going to lie and cheat to try to keep him from being the president again, too.
Okay. But that's the problem. So the Trump administration was successful, in my opinion. And I think I'm as well versed on this as anybody. The 4 history shows that we did, we had everything put out there. But, and this is a big but, he's so polarizing that a guy like Governor DeSantis of Florida might more easily beat the Democrats, because I don't think Biden's going to run again, than a polarizing guy like Trump. Is that argument, does it have any validity?
Well, a few things. First of all, Ron DeSantis has been an incredible governor of Florida. There's no question about it. He's raised $100 million. He's on track to have a monster reelection in the fall, which is great for him, for Florida, and for the country, because DeSantis won with less than 50% of the vote 40 years ago. So it shows, Bill, that if you push back on woke culture, if you push back on all these draconian Byzantine COVID restrictions, if you make your state a hospitable place for individuals and businesses, good things happen, including to you at the ballot box. I will say this, though. If I were Ron DeSantis, I would tell the donors, please stop mentioning my name, because the donors are always wrong. I love the donors. They're successful people in life and in business, but they always pick the wrong candidates, and they certainly never saw Donald Trump coming. If Ron DeSantis wants to run and he is running on the America First agenda, I think if Donald Trump doesn't run, he has a good shot. Right now, the people who are going to run against Trump—
Wait, let me stop
are in the never Trump lane.
You think if DeSantis announced he wants to run for president, Trump wouldn't run against him? Wouldn't?
No. I said if Trump doesn't run, DeSantis could consider
Right, because I don't think DeSantis will primary Trump. Now,
I agree with you completely.
In my last conversation with, well, it wasn't my last. I had a conversation 2 days ago with the former president. But before that, I said you'd be wise, in my humble opinion, and you know how humble I can be, to put DeSantis on the second, so to be Trump-DeSantis. All right, because that would calm down the anti-Trump Republicans, and there are, you know, a lot of Republicans that don't want to go through the chaos that we went through last time. Now, one of them would have to move out of Florida, but DeSantis could move up to southern Georgia easy, and Trump could come back to New York if he wanted to. But I think that would be an overpowering ticket. I don't think anybody's going to, of note, I don't think Mike Pence is going to primary Trump, because Trump has so much money, he could just overwhelm them, and the MAGA stuff is very, very powerful. I don't know anybody's going to dent that. But the question remains, Donald Trump's weakness is he polarizes the country. He's never going to unite the country in a million years. So is that the best remedy for the United States having him run again?
A few things. First of all, the current regime has divided the country even worse. I think they have just taken our cultural cleavages, Bill, and they have ripped them bare and laid them bare. And this unifier, Joe Biden, is not. So remember, these choices are not this one or not this one. These are binary choices. And I think Biden, I disagree with you a little bit. He wants to be the nominee next time. I don't think
There's
the
no
Democratic
way.
Party has. I
There's
don't think
no
they have
way.
the guts to get rid of him, though. I think he'll be primaried from the left. But who are they going to put there? Kamala Harris, who's in a no-show
He's not even
part-time
going to
job?
die. He's not even going to bother with it. Jill is going to take him by the hand and go, you know, honey, we're going to go back to
should have done that
Delaware and have a
originally.
nice life. He's
Let
not
me tell
going to
you,
do it.
you should have done that originally, Bill, because if you love someone that much, you should say, let's go enjoy the last few years, cognitively
Look,
challenged.
the
obviously,
man
and
is
children.
declining rapidly before
Right
the
before our
nation's eyes. Everyone knows he cannot do the job.
But
You
does
know,
he know?
Kellyanne, I'm a simple man. You know that as well as anybody knows it. All right? I have one question. Name one thing that President Biden has improved in this nation in 17 months in office. Just
Absolutely nothing. Not
Right.
one thing. I wish I could
Even
tell
his
you.
biggest supporters, some of whom live on my block, can't name one. Now let's get to your book. So I read the book, and I'm so busy that I had to stay up late at night to do it.
Thank
One
you.
of the things that you were better at than all of the other White House pinheads that were running around for the 4 years, not including Mr. Trump in this, the advisors, is that you could handle the media pretty well. Number one, do you resent the media in America?
I resent them believing their job is to get the president rather than get the story. And in getting President Trump, that included his family and his senior advisors and their families. And these are thin-skinned, troubled, terrified people living in glass houses, judging the rest of us. And I
So
also
you
resent
you don't have any use for most of those media people. You think they're
I don't have use
in
for
the
most
tank.
of them. I don't. And here's the other reason why, Bill. So, of course, they didn't want Donald Trump to win in 2016. They didn't vote for him to win, but there was something more at play here. They were
Sure.
shocked and embarrassed that he did win. And there was almost this immediate revenge factor on that. We must re-embarrass the people who embarrassed us. And I think there's a little naivete by me and my boss and others at the very beginning, like, hey, we have joint custody of the country with, we're going to share joint custody of the nation with the media for the next 48 years. Let's try to get the message out. And my audience is never the liberal anchor sitting across from me. It's the people. There are people out there who, but for voices like ours, are not going to have certain pieces of information they need and certain facts and figures they rely upon. But I'll tell you, it's a shame. They're not all bad. But I think right now, the mainstream media attracts a certain person who lives on social media. They tweet and like each other's tweets all day. That's not even reporters. They're not even editors on social media.
Yeah, it's a club.
And they're not interested in the
Big
facts.
club. Right. Did you get angry inside? You kept your composure outside, but did you get angry? Because basically, when you were interviewed by the national media, they were trying to trap you.
Sure.
They're trying to get you to say something that made your boss, Donald Trump, look bad. That was it. You're absolutely right. They weren't trying to get information out of you because they considered you a propagandist for Trump. They were trying to trap you. Did that make you angry?
No, I don't get angry. It's befuddling to me because it's a sugar high for them. And they most of the time didn't get their way. So I have chapter 19 in my new book, Here's the Deal, is called Alternative Hacks. And I talk about that very thing, how there I am, very first person to ever do Sunday shows. I did all 3 network Sunday shows, ABC, CBS, NBC, from the White House North Lawn, no notes, no net, no staff, in the freezing cold, looking into a blank camera with these 3 anchors. And I talked for 38 minutes, Bill. 38 minutes about the president's agenda, what was on tap for that first week, how inauguration week had gone. Of course, they all wanted to know about Sean Spicer and the inauguration crowd. And they very clearly said, I'm not a big crowd size girl. I think that presidents are judged ultimately by their economy and their national security, foreign policy.
You had always good perspective.
Blah, blah, blah. So I said alternative facts by accident. I didn't mean to change the relationship of the United States government and her citizenry in broad daylight with the White House behind me. And yet it became this whole thing. And I put it in the book called Alternative Hacks. Why? You'll appreciate this because I talk about how for 2.5 seconds, I say something that I immediately cleaned up, walked back, didn't intend, no intent there. And they spent 2.5 years, not seconds, weeks, or months, 2.5 years looking for Russia collusion to have swung an election. So I find some of them to be unethical, if not reprehensible, and dishonest. They never apologize.
No.
If they have to correct, it's in a small correction in print. You'll never see it.
Well, they were doing what their bosses told them to do. That's
yes.
the bottom line. Last question, and you write about this in the book, but I don't want to be intrusive on this subject because it's just wrong. Your job took a toll on your marriage. So your husband is not a Trump supporter, to put it mildly.
No, I think George's reaction to my job took a toll on my marriage. My job certainly didn't.
Okay, so you have children.
One's my job, one's my marriage. He decided to change his mind about Donald Trump and me. Just the facts are important here. George urged, if not insisted, I take my shot in 2016, Bill, when Mr. Trump asked me to be campaign manager. George was there on election night crying in his black MAGA hat at the New York Hilton. He, like me, accepted a big job by President-elect Trump in the administration. He was supposed to be the head of the civil division at the Department of Justice. That's a big job. And he accepted it. He was interviewing staff. He was checking out his office. So people need to understand the facts. This is not Carville and Madeline. This is not George.
But I'm more interested in you and your kids. I don't care about him. When that kind of tension is in the home, it takes a toll.
Yes, I try to protect my kids from that, which is why I never responded in kind or at the time. So I wasn't tweeting back at George. I had the tweeting men in my life, Donald Trump and George. But, the president was very good to me, Bill. He could have asked me to leave. He could have said, this is too much for us. I love you. You're part of our extended political family, but I got to worry about Vladimir Putin, not George Conway's tweets. He protected me, and he was always worried about my children, always, especially when the media mob came for those kids, which will never be forgotten or forgiven. But I also, as a mother, my first job always is to protect my 4 children. They're the 4 chambers of my heart. And I did the best I could, including leaving the job on my terms and my timeline that I loved very much, Bill. But I did that.
Yeah, you have a good line. Less drama, more mama. That's a good line. All right, the book is Here's the Deal, a memoir by Kellyanne Conway. As I said, I held my interest, and I hope you check it out. Kellyanne, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. There's a big soiree on Long Island. I'm going to drop in and cause trouble. And
I'm glad you are. I look forward to it.
Very nice of you to help us out. Sure. Okay.